Namaste and welcome to Round Glass Living. I'm Lama Yeshe and I'm grateful to be sharing this meditation with you today, live from India. So today we're going to be exploring fear, a natural, powerful and primitive human emotion. Fear alerts us to the presence of danger or the threat of harm, whether that danger is physical or even psychological. But before we start, I have a question for you. How does fear show up in your life? So share your thoughts on that by popping it in the chat, and I'll get round to reading them out in a moment. So in this meditation, you'll learn how to change your relationship to fear by changing that inner dialogue. So people have answered the questions in the chat. So somebody says, when I'm experiencing something new, and somebody else said, when I'm alone, or when I'm startled unexpectedly. Yeah, all of these are ways for us to, show that fear. So during this meditation, if you have any questions, some doubts come up in your mind, then again, pop them in the chat and I'll try to answer them at the end of the session. So before we start the meditation, just mention a little bit about fear. So fear is natural, of course, it's a natural emotion and it's there to keep us safe. So it's part of that fight or flight mode. It's part of our survival mode, means it's wired into our brain. But it's not always correct. It doesn't mean that just because we're becoming fearful that there is actually danger there. Sometimes our fear is unrealistic. And as an example, imagine you walk into a dark room and you can just have a little bit of light and you see there on the floor in the corner is a big snake all rolled up, and fear comes up in you and you become really scared, and then you turn the light on and you realize it's just a bit of coiled up rope. So fear is there, definitely, and it is there to try and keep us safe, but it isn't something that we should identify with, and it isn't something that is realistic. It may be unrealistic. So I'm just mentioning that to help you as we go through this meditation practice. So now let's start the practice. So sit nice and comfortable in your chair. Put your feet flat on the ground and shoulder length apart to keep yourself nice and stable. Put your hands in your lap where they're going to be comfortable for you. And then if you're happy, then lightly close your eyes. If you're unhappy with that, then just look down on the floor in front of you, find a spot and just keep a soft gaze on that. And as we're talking about fear, maybe you don't want to close your eyes, but if you can, it always makes it easier. So get yourself in a nice, comfortable position now. And if you're ready, we're going to start by focusing on the breath. Now, don't change your breathing here. Just allow it to find its own natural rhythm. But become aware that you're breathing in and you're breathing out. So no need to follow the breath all the way down to the lungs or the diaphragm. Just become aware of the breath flowing in and out of your nose. And if your mind starts to wander off, then just very gently bring it back and start watching your breath again. And remember, relax. So we'll do this for 1 minute. So, with this meditation, I want to try and change your relationship with fear. So, I want you to think of something that makes you fearful, or maybe think about the last time that you were fearful and bring that into the front of your mind. Now, because we're talking about fear, when you're thinking about this fear, I want you to do it with compassion and kindness towards yourself. And if any time during this meditation it becomes overwhelming for you, then just open your eyes and you can come back and do the meditation on demand. So think of one thing that makes you feel fear and just sit with that a moment. And now silently say to yourself, I am afraid. And I want you to fully experience what it's like to say, I am afraid. And just stay with that experience a moment. Now, instead of saying, I am afraid, I want you just to silently say to yourself, I feel fear. And I want you to notice the shift between I am to I feel. I am afraid is identifying with the fear. I feel fear is acknowledging fear is there, but it's not me. It's just a feeling. So now I want you to shift again by saying to yourself, I am aware of feeling fear. I am aware of feeling fear. So I want you to experience the awareness of fully feeling that fear. Because this awareness allows us to see that fear is just a process of the brain. So now let your awareness shift again as you say, fear is welcome. So say this to yourself, fear is welcome. And just notice that different emotional quality that comes when you welcome fear and not fight it. When we bring our awareness to that fear, we can see that it's just a process going on in our brains. And there's no need for us to identify with that fear. What does it feel like when you say to yourself, fear is welcome? Now I want you to silently say to yourself, awareness and fear are not inseparable. So just allow yourself to be aware of the feeling fear without getting scared or upset by it, becoming anxious or overwhelmed. Just allowing ourselves to become aware that at the moment we're feeling fear. It's not who I am, it's just what I'm feeling. So, going back to the beginning where I asked you to think of something that made you fearful, I want you now to face that fear, knowing that it's not who you are, it's just a feeling. And I want you to bring awareness to that by asking yourself these questions. Is my fear, or is it just my imagination working overtime? And ask yourself, is my fear helpful? Or is it just causing me more emotional suffering? And now think about what can you do to allow this fear to release you from its grip? Think about that for a moment. And I want you to notice the feeling of being able to face your fears with open hearted awareness and not allowing yourself to get all tangled up with the emotion. So remember, fear is a process of the brain. It's not you. You are just feeling it. So bring awareness to the feeling and face your fears head on. So before we finish this meditation, I want you to reflect on these points that fear is a natural process of the brain, and reflect on that feeling of fear is not who you are. Don't identify with it. And reflect on that you're just feeling that fear. By reflecting on these points, it's helping you to bring awareness to fear. So now just very slowly start to open your eyes. So hopefully that has helped you to look at fear in a different way. Look in fear in a way that is going to help you understand that you're just feeling these emotions. They're not you. So somebody had a comment, fear stops me from trying new things or speaking up. I read so many articles on fear and they make me feel like I'm not alone. I look forward to doing this meditation again and often to bring to try to manage or face fear in the future. Yeah, you are not alone. You know, this emotion of fear is totally natural. And sometimes, it does stop us doing things. And that's what I was saying. When you're facing your fear, you need to understand that, is it realistic? Is it just holding me back? By understanding those things, it helps us to really push through that fear. So, thank you for sharing this time with me today. You can return to this practice anytime you feel overwhelmed by fear or worries. With time, redirecting your inner dialogue can become second nature to you. So please continue to explore meditation with us here on roundglass.com or on our app. Namaste. We are holistic well-being.